Hey everybody, Ringingworm here, bringing you another video review. This time we're going to review the MP20 Cybertronium Mechanical Engineer WheelJack. If you guys remember from the 1984 cartoon, WheelJack and Bumblebee were the first two Transformers that you got to see on the screen when the pilot episode of More Than Meets the Eye came out. And I bought this figure at Comic-Con here in Salt Lake, and it was a great item. I molded over quite a bit. It was in the price range that I wanted to pay. There were so many other things that I wanted to buy, but when it came right down to it, I just felt like I had to have it part of my collection because he's iconic, especially in the first couple seasons of the Transformers. So really quick, some of the comments that I've seen online about this particular figure is they don't like necessarily the paint scheme. The Transformer itself mirrors more of the actual car than what is, I believe, a Lancia Stratos. And honestly, I don't really care. I think it looks pretty good as far as WheelJack did in the cartoon. His wheels look great. Yeah, there are some differences from this and the cartoon, but they're so insignificant. I just don't, I don't know what a lot of collectors are looking for. For me, this works out really great. He's pretty easy to transform, and the one thing I like about the Masterpiece collection from Takara and from Hasbro is they transform very similar to the way that they would in the cartoon. Now they're a little bit more complicated because it's not just a streamlined move. They have to figure out where things tuck and all other type stuff. But for the most part, if you guys ever watch the cartoon, this part of WheelJack becomes his arms. Obviously this part becomes his feet, and as you can see there on the box, his chest piece is just this top part of the cab, and all that is the same from the cartoon, and I really like that because it really helps add that nostalgia feel from it. So as you can see, this is a licensed figure, so it has the Lancia logo on it. I don't remember a lot about these cars in the 80s. I think they're Italian, but anyway, you can see you got the Autobot symbol, MP20. He's the Cybertron mechanical engineer. He's WheelJack. He's an inventor kind of thing. Just a lot of Asian type writing from Hong Kong. You see him kind of in scaled with Optimus Prime, and I might bring him out just to kind of show you in real life. But he fits inside Optimus's trailer. He comes with a gun, his rocket launcher. He comes with two sets of little mirrors. You can see right here. You don't have to put those on if you don't want to. I ended up doing it because I have an extra set just in case, but nice little touch there, I think. He comes with his rocket launcher, which is on the upper part of his right shoulder. I think you can actually put it on either shoulder too. I think we'll see that when we transform. Gives you some specs kind of right here on his measurements and all other type stuff, and that's the box. Then he comes with this little card right here. They all kind of do. It's made of cardboard. On the back it gives you his stats. I can't read any of that obviously, but that's what it is. And just little kind of a pose on how he can look and all that type of stuff, which I really like. Obviously I don't have him in that pose, but that's what he'll be able to transform into. His rocket launcher here. It's not spring loaded, it just sits in there. But the thing about this is, which I think makes this really cool, is it gives a lot of authenticity. So if you wanted to have him in a firing pose or something like that, you could do that. So that's his shoulder cannon. And then, like I said, he comes with these little two extra mirrors right here. Oop. And they come off of this little T-junction pretty easily, and then they fit just right in there without very much effort at all. So that's basically him in his car mode. One more thing, he does come with this gun, which I like because it kind of looks like a tailpipe. He's got one regardless, But if you want to transform in this way and just store his gun right underneath there, it looks like a tailpipe under there. And I thought that was pretty cool. But overall, for the most part, I mean, these are pretty seamless if you look at the design of them. I mean, this transforms into a car. It looks exactly like the character does. One thing that people don't like, and I'll show this when the figure gets done, but I'll show it to you on the box too really quick. See his side? This is how he talks. So when he talks, these light up. And some people, there is an aftermarket kit, I believe, that you can buy that will make these blue. I don't really care that they're silver, and I'll tell you why. I was watching the first episode of the Transformers this morning, and that's the way they look when he's not talking. So for me, I'm okay with them being like that. I don't need anything extra as far as that goes. So anyway, let's go ahead and see how. I mean, he transforms pretty easy. The one thing I'll tell you about these Masterpiece figures is until you figure out how to transform them, sometimes they transform easier from car to robot or robot to car. But if you don't remember, if you don't do it a couple times, then the transform back into whatever mode can be more complicated, and it's really easy to forget how to do it. And for the most part, everything on this just kind of tabs into different places. So obviously this becomes his feet. As you can see, I just kind of pulled that apart. But this whole part right here pretty much comes off. So the reason why you might struggle with that a little bit or whatever is because if you look on the figure itself, there's a lot of little hinges, and so this right here is getting stuck right in this area right here because there's a little latch, so to speak, under there. So you can see that right there. And it makes it feel really tight. So the one thing that I would caution you on when you're transforming him is just be careful, because some things are really, really tight in there, and you don't want to accidentally break something because you're trying to force it. But once you kind of get it loosened up. Okay, sorry, we had a little technical difficulty there just a second ago. But anyway, it just comes loose, and as you can see, this is kind of his. So this folds up under like this, and then it kind of just accordions in there. So you just kind of fold this down, and then his legs come out like this. You can kind of see that. See how they're kind of... Push that up really quick. So you can see how they're all in there, and it just slides out. Pretty simple. You can see the knee joint in there. Feet couldn't be more simple. They just go straight out. Like so, and then you kind of just pull them down and lock them into place. Nothing overly complicated about that. Anyway, this part right here comes down like so. And then right there you see this little, right there you see this little hole right there, and there's a little hole right there, and that just tabs into that part right there. And then do the same thing on this side. I'm not necessarily the fastest or the best at this, but anyway, it's pretty simple overall. You can, like I said, you can have him standing up. So I mean, there's the lower half of him right there, and he'll pretty much stand on his own, even like that. So that's pretty simple. And like I said, the thing that I like about this a lot, take that off really quick, is that it transforms very similar to the way it does in the cartoon. So you can see under here, his hands, and that's where his hands would go in the cartoon when he transformed too. So obviously this part all becomes part of his his arm transformation. And this just kind of rolls out like so. Now, you don't need to worry about this just yet. One thing that you want to do too is this chest piece right here comes open and his head's right there. So I mean, that's pretty, I love that actually. Anyway, you just need to make sure that you get that closed the right way. And this is really pretty easy actually, as far as he goes. I mean, this is going to slide up and around. So you see his, sorry, I'm getting a little carried away. So this right here, you can see there's his wings, and I just folded them around. Anyway, so let's see if I can do this a little bit better here. Sometimes you don't realize what you're doing with the camera until it's too late, and I'll adjust a little bit. So you can see it's looking pretty much like WheelJack right now. Now his body right here folds down into this area right here. And his sides right here just fold in, and it's pretty simple. If I can get it to cooperate, it's pretty simple. So anyway, like I said, the one thing that I don't like about the Masterpiece collection is because they are kind of there's tons of transformations, is you just have to be careful because you feel like you're forcing everything. So like what's happening right now is I want to force it because it won't go into place, but what's happening is that tire's rubbing right there against that little piece. So if you just pull out just a little bit, it just goes right there into place. And the same thing on this side, goes right into place. So let me pull that out. So anyway, and as you can see, it just kind of folds down. Anyway, I'll show you the top part. See how that kind of just folds all together, and it just kind of works together in this particular area. You look at the back right here, and he's got these two pieces. Now this, there's a little notch right there, and this just folds into that notch, and then you pretty much have him transformed from the back. Now his hands, this piece right here rolls over. See if you can see that. And then this piece just rolls up. This piece turns to the side. This piece turns around, and then his hand just kind of turns like that. Same thing on this side. His this top piece, let's see here, let's just make this easier. This piece comes down, this piece goes up, then you rotate it around to where it's kind of like this. So basically his forearms are just underneath there. Anyway, and then his hand opens up, and some of them are different. Like Bumblebee's, you just slide his hand down in because his hands don't open. As you can see, WheelJack's here, his fingers open up. So there's a little tab. See if you can see it in there. There's a little tab just right inside his hand, and this is where his gun goes. So you put this in here. You can kind of see how his gun has these two little flares out there on the handle, so he can hold it in either side. Anyway, it just goes in. Maybe. There we go. And you can see his hand is open right there, but you just close it, obviously, and it looks like he's got his finger on the trigger. You can twist his wrist. Good motion in his arms. Goes all the way up and down, and it'll go completely 360, but I don't think it's necessary to show that. Same thing on this side. His wrists, like I said, do move, so there's pretty good articulation there. He can look up to the side and then down if he wants. an interesting fact, I'm not going to show you because I'm not going to waste my time taking it off. If you see his little screw here on the back of his head, if you take that off, you can take this front part of his mask off, and he has a face under there. I thought that was kind of a neat detail. I don't know if they did that on purpose to make it look like he's you know, wearing a mask in real life, but you know, it does. But if you take that mask off, he's got a hole in his head, and I didn't care for that. So if you look up here, he's got two little tabs. You can put it on his left or your right, I'm sure. Obviously, in the cartoon, he had it on his right shoulder, so that's where we're going to put him, and it just tabs in there really easily. And the thing I like about this character, I'm going to raise the camera up a little bit more. Okay, the thing I like most about this figure is the attention to detail. So he has the gun, he's got his little mirrors, like I said before. His chest piece comes out, which I do like that because it feels more like a robot. But this is an example of how detailed it is. I mean, you can move his cannon literally up and down, kind of like on a hinge, and it doesn't just have to sit there like that. So you can have him in kind of an up pose or down pose. His wings fold, so they don't have to necessarily be up like that. If you look at him up close, I love the figure in general. I mean, this is WheelJack. There's no getting around that. So MP20 Cybertron Mechanical Engineer. If you don't have this in your collection, as far as Transformers go, I highly advise you to pick it up if you're into that collecting mode. But it's not life or death situation. I used to collect Transformers when I was a kid, but you know, I didn't hang on to a lot of them, and then I was kind of a little bit in between a collector and a kid, and I had a whole bunch of the other generation of Transformers, but I didn't take very good care of them. I just threw them in boxes, whatever. These masterpiece collections are absolutely fantastic for sitting on the shelf, putting them in a specific pose, and then leaving them alone. And you can always take them out once in a while and repose them and do different things like that. It's kind of what I do with my other action figures anyway. So really quick, I'm going to get MP10 and I'm going to stand him next to WheelJack, and we'll look at the comparison. Alright guys, so here he is next to the MP10 Optimus Prime. You can see the scale. The one thing I love about these masterpieces now, as far as I understand, and I may be wrong, all the characters right now their scales and that type stuff are based on the MP10. So like when you get these transformed into their actual robot modes, they scale very similar to what you're looking at right now. So Optimus in the cartoon was the biggest and the baddest of the robots, and all the other Transformers, by comparison, with the exception of like the Dinobots and there's a couple others like Holler and Inferno. Obviously, there's different Transformers that they're a little bit bigger than Optimus Prime, but for the most part, the scale is based on him. And when you look at WheelJack, you can look up at Optimus Prime, and it's great because he should be bigger. I mean, he transforms from a car. Optimus transforms from a semi-truck, a flat-face semi-truck, and there's just great scale in the comparison. So look at him really close to Optimus. You can just see that. Love that. But, you know, there's one more character I'm going to show you guys next in the comparison next to him, because there are very few Transformers that I just feel like I have to have part of my collection, and I have to have them part of the collection for obvious reasons because they're so iconic. And the one thing about Peter Cullen's Optimus Prime is you also have he also voiced Ironhide, and as you can see, scale wise, Ironhide's bigger than WheelJack, but he's still smaller than Optimus Prime, and that's because he's a van. So again, the scale is great. Obviously Ironhide should be bigger than WheelJack, and Optimus Prime should be definitely bigger than them both. So I just wanted to show those two characters really quick right next to each other. I'm going to go through and I'm going to review all of my Masterpiece Transformers just so you guys can see all the different characters and whatnot. I'm kind of on a Transformer kick. I've been buying more DC and comic book characters for my collection, but I just feel like right now I really feel like the Transformers are taking me home. It's just I get that little happy feeling inside of my stomach, and I just have to have them. So when I was at Comic-Con, I almost bought exclusively all of these Transformers, and they're pretty outstanding. So MP20 WheelJack. If you don't have it, I recommend you picking up. Hey guys, I hope you like this video. I'm going to keep doing it more. I know sometimes it's a little bit shaky. I'm getting better, I promise. I'm going to be adding some different effects and whatnot. I've been learning a lot during this process. Whether we get subscribers or not on the channel is really irrelevant. I'm making these videos because I love talking about them, first of all. And second of all, I love showing off what I have because I've amassed it over so much time. Anyway, MP20 WheelJack. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment if you want me to change anything. I would love feedback, good or bad. I have no problem taking that. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video.